The brain is fundamentally an electrical organ, and it's absolutely fascinating. It's the most fascinating thing in the universe to a lot of us who've been, given a chance to understand it a little better. Epilepsy is by its nature fundamentally an electrical challenge. I'm Kent Leidy, CEO of Cadence Neuroscience.
And I'm Doug Sheffield, Chief Scientific Officer.
You're listening to Seizure Diaries, where we explore all things epilepsy and explore the latest developments in epilepsy science and therapy.
Together, and with expert guests, we discuss the impacts of epilepsy and the work being done by Cadence Neuroscience and others with the ultimate goal that every person lives a seizure-free life. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kent Leidy. I'm the CEO of Cadence Neuroscience. Welcome to our podcast. So Cadence is a startup medical device company. We're focused on developing new therapies to treat people who have epilepsy, in particular people who have epilepsy and can't get relief from their seizures using medications. Joining me today on this introductory podcast is my good friend and collaborator, Dr. Doug Sheffield. I'll let Doug tell you some more about himself, but I've been working with Doug for 20-some years. Doug's a TVM PhD. That's a veterinary pathologist, to not use all the letters, but use the title.
Hi, my name is Doug Sheffield, and I'm the Chief Scientific Officer. Hey, it's a pleasure, Kent. It's been great working with you and seeing the evolution of not only our relationship, but where we're taking the technology.
So in our field, in the field of medical devices, oftentimes there are researchers at academic or clinical institutions that are coming up with new therapies and new technologies. They want to help their patients. Occasionally they come up with something that looks really promising, but they're not necessarily in a position to commercialize it themselves. That takes a new, different set of skills. And that's where folks like Doug and myself come in. So we kind of help bring technologies out of a laboratory setting into a commercial setting. It's an interesting place to work because you get to work on new exciting technologies that are going to be impactful and make a difference. And there's a whole lot of problems to solve, and it's never dull.
Cadence Neuroscience is sort of the culmination of our previous efforts. Our first effort, looking at just neuromodulation to enhance neuroplasticity after a stroke, introduced us to the power of low levels of intracranial stimulation. And our latest company before that, NeuroVista, was all about recording EEG data from patients that had drug-resistant epilepsy and whose life was difficult living with not knowing when they're going to have a seizure. And we had the audacity to say, well, let's come up with a way to look at the abnormal EEG and predict when that person was going to have a seizure.
So the whole reason for Cadence to exist, and the whole reason we are so committed to our mission here, is that we're here to try to develop new alternatives, new options for these patients who have so few options.
And it drives everything that we do.
We've been very fortunate to be able to attract some wonderfully talented people and wonderfully committed and rigorous people, and absolutely stupendous set of clinical investigators and scientists. And we're able to work with these people every day and put all of our concentrated efforts together to focus on this one problem. We're excited about the progress we're making.
I think one of the things I'm most excited about Cadence is building a team that allows us to have that feedback from the patients. And it starts really even before we provide our clinicians at Mayo with a device to implant in people. What most startups don't have is a Mayo clinic that's hooked up at the hip. And I think for our listeners, that's a real critical aspect of what Cadence brings. To have a very significant group at Mayo, the leading epileptologists and neurosurgeons interested in this space, about doubled or tripled our early manpower to make progress on this.
I'm going to take your comment and double down on it. Something that both of us have commented on frequently is, boy, our relationships in the field are so important. And it's been such a pleasure to work with not only the Mayo team, but with a lot of other folks in the field of epilepsy. And to have their support on this program has been a blessing and a huge advantage for our effort.
We're a small group, but we like to be really efficient. We like to work with really smart people and passionate people. I think that's what you're saying. It's a really a great marriage of different perspectives.
So the motivation for this podcast is really one of communication. We realize that our future customers and even before that, patients and families who participate in clinical studies have a really tough decision to make, perhaps to participate in a clinical study with an investigational device. When we think about trying to walk in people's shoes and think about their situation and what they're faced with, we realize, boy, it sure would be helpful if they knew who they were working with and who is this Cadence outfit and where'd these people come from and who do they work with? Why should I feel comfortable with this? So that's a tall order. And it's an important question, and I think it's important information for us to be able to provide to people who may choose to pursue our therapy.
We've never used a recruiter to build the clinical team. People who have been in this space, the space of neuromodulation, researchers have come to us. So there are two individuals that actually, based on their work where they got their PhDs, came to us looking to see if there were any opportunities to work. And I remember talking to you, Kent, as we got these resumes coming in, and I said, what do you think, Kent, if we bring on these hires now and not wait down the road when we're ready to start the clinical study? And it took you about maybe 2 seconds to get a smile on your face. And as you heard about them, say, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, these super well qualified, recently graduated PhD students with, as it turns out, quite a bit of specialty experience in this area. So, Doug, I say with great confidence that we manage to keep ourselves very busy every day with thousand or a million details and things that have to be done. What do you do to keep patients in mind? What do you do to maintain your view on the big picture?
So the highlight really of my week is, no offense, Kent, is our weekly meeting with the Mayo clinicians and researchers, where we see the patient through their lens. They're telling us how the trial stem, because keep reminding people, we are in clinical studies right now, gaining information every week on how our therapy is going to impact patients. And we're improving it. We're seeing places where, hey, it would be great if we could make this change, and we make it. We're able to turn things around right away. Well, how about you? How do you stay close to our mission of having children be seizure free?
As much as I love technology, and I'm an engineer at heart, I really find the human aspect of our mission to be compelling. And honestly, that's the part that gets me out of bed every morning. It's knowing that we have a chance to help some people. You'll recall we at a previous company, one of my lab members had epilepsy, and because I ran the lab, I was always kind of the guy who got the call if that engineer had a seizure. And I've been there. At the time these things are happening, and we've seen how tough it is on the patient, and what a scourge it is. And so it just hasn't been too hard for me to imagine the benefit we might provide and to stay in touch with the needs of the customer.
Kent, I can remember in a lot of our conversations having those grandkids in the conversations, and I want to get your thoughts on, our focus is children. Children are the patients with epilepsy that have been forgotten. There's no other company developing an epilepsy therapy like this for children. And that's the only thing that we're focused on right now, is providing options for children. You and I share that common love of our own children and grandchildren. And how does that impact your day-to-day passion?
Yeah, I think that just makes the whole mission that much more compelling. The needs for these families are, these are severe unmet needs. And when you're thinking about a developing child, the kind of number one alternate to drugs therapy has been removal of part of the brain. And that's a very disturbing path to have to think about as a parent. And as a result, parents are really looking for alternatives for their kids. And so I think we're really working in an area where there are severe unmet needs, and there's a chance to do an awful lot of good for folks.
Our goal, to be honest, is seizure freedom. Yes, seizure reduction is great, but honestly, what got you and I excited is with the results from the Mayo's work without our optimized system is that many patients are seizure free for long periods of time. And that's what got us excited, is seizure freedom.
I'm quite positive the most rewarding thing that I hope we experience is helping out our patients. But I will say it's also very rewarding to put a team together and really focus them on the mission of helping our patients and pushing them to bring all their skills and talent and ideas and collaboration all to a point for this very worthwhile and focused mission. It's rewarding to put a team together and watch them really work well together.
We don't have all the answers, but we're building tools that are very adaptable. Since we don't know what the field is going to look like in 10 years, I think we want to anticipate here's where it may go, and let's make sure we provide tools that allow clinicians the ability to pivot and to try this and to try that. And our system anticipates that there's going to be changes, but we won't have to redo the system. We have a system that's going to adapt.
Be a wonderful outcome if we can make some headway with this therapy, but also enable other avenues of research that could advance other therapies. Who knows where it'll go? So, Doug, we're getting to the end of the episode. If you could pick one thing for our podcast audience to walk away with about you, about our team, what would it be?
I think we aren't an arrogant group. We started, it wasn't really an official mission statement, but it was, we're going to crawl, walk, run. A lot of folks, when they get excited about something, they're in a run mode and they miss the earlier learnings of the crawling and the walking. We've been crawling and we're moving forward to walking. And it's an approach, I think, that gives me a lot of confidence that we're on the right path. We're not assuming much. We're saying, let's see how this works.
I think it's responsible. Yeah, is a word I would use.
Yeah, we know this is going to go into children, and we want to go in having something that our patients and clinician users are going to be excited about.
I think I concur with your thoughts there. I think I would add, I want people to know that there's this, small new group out in Redmond, Washington. Boy, it has some pretty smart people in it. It gets to work with some very smart people across the whole United States. And we're in your corner. We're really going to do everything we can to come up with answers and new approaches. And we're going to be asking some important questions and seeking the answers. I really feel optimistic about our chance to move the ball forward for patients and make a contribution. I think it's going to take hard work and rolled up sleeves and a lot of coffee.
Yeah, and that's what we're built for.
Thanks so much for joining us for Seizure Diaries.
We hope you find these conversations helpful. If you do, we hope you'll consider sharing our podcast with others.
Everybody says it, but it really does help others to discover the show when you rate, review, and share. You can find Seizure Diaries wherever you listen to podcasts.
We'll see you next time.
You're getting better at this.
You say that every time.